market out there, the snack market.
Oh yeah, they put it out as an intersection instead of an address. They didn't have an address. They called it wrong.
Could I throw a couple of questions at you right there real quick? I'm feeding this back live right now. Not live, but okay. Is that all right?
Yeah, give me a minute to check in with everybody first.
Okay, I'll wait right here for you.
All right.
Thank you. So I'm going to do an interview with the fire chief here in about 1 minute, and then he'll describe what's going on.
Okay, we got you recording.
Okay, I've got some pretty good stuff once I got past the chief's car. He's coming back to talk to me. He says there's nobody inside, a lot of wood products, a lot of stuff inside, but they haven't found anybody yet, so he doesn't seem to think that there's anybody inside, and those are his words.
Okay, I hope there is nobody inside.
And they put it out as an intersection. That's why it ended up as the way it ended up a little bit ago at the market. I got to get some flames, so I'm going to let you go, and as soon as I get the fire chief, just keep it on and I'll record an interview.
Sure.
Bye. You're good right there if you want to do it right there.
Okay.
And I appreciate you doing this for me.
Yeah,
usually we're not live, so the only reason we're not live on air, live feeding it back, is because I'm coming out here, I saw the smoke.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, give me your full name. I know what it is, but spell both names for me.
So it's Andrew Smith.
Thank you, Andrew. And spell both names.
ANDREWSMITH, and that's fire chief.
Okay. And Andrew, can I turn you around the other way? I'm going to turn you around this way.
Sure.
That way I have the light on you. Right there's good. All right, so basically tell us what's happening, and the address was listed as the snack market, but you can start there and then tell us about the structure that's burning right here.
Sure. So just a little while ago, crews from Dexter, Lowell, and Pleasant Oak Ocean Fire were dispatched to a report of a barn fire. It was reported by motorists on Highway 58 passing by. When the first engine arrived, they found a fully involved barn fire. The fire had also extended to a fifth-wheel RV that was sitting next to the barn. The fire currently is contained to the structure. It hasn't spread to the field. It's being kept contained, but the structure will be a total loss. Crews will be working on scene for quite a while to mop up all the hot spots and burning debris that's here. At this point, we're not aware of any injuries. We're still working on contacting the property owner who's not on site.
And earlier you had mentioned that you're not sure yet whether or not there's anybody inside. Is there anybody inside, or are you looking for anybody?
We don't have any reason to believe there's anybody here, but that'll be part of our due diligence to check as we knock the heat down and are able to search within the remnants of the barn. It's a storage barn, like a farm barn, and there is a fifth wheel behind it. There's no other cars here, and there's not a house at this immediate location.
Okay, and Andrew, talk about how your fire department, they got on scene and they attacked the fire with the firefighters, and how many pieces of equipment do you have, and how did they attack the fire to get in there?
Sure. So we're using what's called a defensive strategy right now, which basically means we're just working from the perimeter to extinguish the fire into the core of what's burning. One of the challenges in this location, there's no nearby water supply, so we're working off of tenders right now, which are doing a tender shuttle and bringing water from fire hydrants in Lowell. We do have engines on scene from Dexter, Lowell, and Pleasant Hill Goshen Fire with on-duty crews, as well as a tender from Pleasant Hill Goshen, Lowell, and actually a South Lane tender that's here helping us right now.
And Andrew, talk about how you're shuttling in the water. So you have 3 working tenders. Water supply is a problem. Talk about how that, for the viewer to know how that's happening.
Sure. So water supply in the rural is always a little bit of a challenge. So we use tenders, which are hauling anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 gallons of water each, and their job is to run to the nearest hydrant or source of water, fill, and come back to the scene to supply us. Go ahead.
And Andrew, you've been really good. I'll let you go one second. How many firefighters do you have on scene? And again, how many pieces of equipment do you have from area departments?
Currently we have 3 engines and 3 tenders that are working. We also have a rescue squad that's here and myself working on scene right now.
And how many firefighters on scene?
That's a good question. I don't have an immediate count at the moment.
And
on my board.
Can you describe it? I know you were one of the first ones out here. Describe what it looked like when you arrived on scene, if you could, for the viewers at home.
Sure. Yeah, we had just extensive fire, so the building was fully involved. It had pretty dark smoke coming off the building, and the fire was extending outward. One of the concerns is you'll see the nearby field, which this time of year is just starting to dry out, getting ready for the hay season. We want to make sure that the fire doesn't spread outside of that into the fields at all.
And Andrew, it's in a rural area, so it's in a rural area, so it's hard to get water in here, correct?
It can be a little challenging. We do have tenders that are running on scene, helping haul the water back and forth, and we're using every bit we get for extinguishment.
Okay. How long I'll let you go. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your Andrew. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Sorry, buddy, I'm not ignoring you. You called. What can I do for you?
I'm live streaming you right now.
Okay. How long do you want me to stay up? Because
Do you want to stay up?
I'll stay up for 15 more minutes. How's that?
Sounds great.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
Okay, bye. down here, and then I was like, that's... Yeah, the baler.
Thank you for what you do. Thanks again. Do you have any other information I can ask you about, or you want to get on the air? Can the public help? Can the public help? Okay. Let me just tell us what else you were going to tell us.
Well, I didn't have anything else to tell you necessarily. We're just going to be here for quite a while.
2 or 3 hours, putting it out, hot spots?
Just, yeah, at least mopping up the hot spots in the core of the structure.
Okay, do we know, I know it's probably too soon to ask, but what the investigation might show was the cause?
Don't know yet, but we'll start the investigation once it's all cooled down.
Okay.
We can get a fire investigator out here.
And you have fire marshals on the way?
Not yet, but they will be.
Okay. Can the public help if they saw anything, or can that be of value to you?
If anybody actually saw the early stage of the fire and wanted to provide information, that can always be considered. Otherwise, at this point, there's nothing the public can do for us to help us out.
And one last question. I have peppered you with a lot of questions. Thanks for being patient. What's the cause, or what is listed as this a regular bonfire, as opposed to regular, but suspicious? What would you label it as?
At this point, we're just considering it most likely accidental. However, that'll be determined when the investigation is completed.
Alrighty. I appreciate your help. Thank you so much, Andy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Hi, buddy. Can I come home now? I'm about done, I think.
Yeah.
Mark this time code down if you could, Mr. Assistant News Director. 1405, 205. Andrew Smith again talked about the fire. If anybody saw anything leading up to the fire,